Folks, I want to welcome you to my attempt here to show the awesome power of flower dust to transform an environment. And I'm basing my little model here today on an event which actually happened here back on the evening, early evening of May 7th, 1878, on this very site. There was a flower dust explosion which blew the first Washburn AIM mill, which stood on this spot, to smithereens and killed 18 workers in the process, including 14 working in this complex and 4 others in the 5 surrounding buildings that were either damaged or destroyed by that blast. Undoubtedly one of the worst explosions in history, right here on this very spot. And I happen to have a picture of that blast right here. This is the picture that ran in the international newspapers of the time period. You can see the top blowing off this mill. Of course, once the top blew off, the walls collapsed. There was really nothing left but rubble. They carted it off the grounds after about a month. It smoldered for about that long, and people from all over came to see the ruins. And then they started over and built an even bigger and better mill. By they, I mean the Washburn brothers who own this complex. But unfortunately, at the time, it was the largest and most modern flour mill in the world. So they truly lost a major part of production here. About a third of the production of this mill district went out that quick. All right, so here we have what we need in order to make a flour dust explosion. We have a container, and in the actual explosion, each of these individual floors in this 8-floor mill served as an individual container. So basically when the blast took place from the bottom, it blew up, boom, 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 right out the top of the building. So it's said that a couple pieces of the mill actually came down in the streets of St. Paul, which is about 9.5 miles or so downriver from here. They felt the blast in Stillwater, Minnesota, which is about 27 miles away. So it was an unusually strong blast. So, first thing we have to have is this container in order to make our blast today. What else do you think we might need in order to make a dust explosion happen? Dust. I heard a lot of people saying dust. Yes, I have a nice jar full of dust here. Really, dust is nothing more than flour. What happens when you've got a mill of this size with 8 floors of continuously moving machinery, it generates a lot of dust. And no matter how hard you might try and sweep it off the floors, blow it in isolation rooms, whatever you might do, you still got mud around. And that can create real problems in a hurry. So they did everything they could to keep it at a minimum. I'm going to fill up our chamber here with a nice couple of heaping teaspoons. I'll take a nice little pop out of that. And then we're going to enclose this container here. All right, so we've got fuel, we've got a container. What else do we need? We need some kind of ignition source. It's quite likely that the actual ignition source, in my opinion at least, was probably a dumped up roller machine down here in one of the lower floors, because these machines would generate a lot of friction if they were to get clogged up. Enough to certainly start a nice fire. But we can't rule out the possibility that perhaps static electricity caused this fire. You had, after all, 8 floors of continuously moving machinery, moving 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, it makes my job real easy here. I have a spark generating machine, so I'll just plug that in. And get our spark going here. And there we go. There's only one other thing that we need to do here. We need to get this dust in this mill mold. After all, really a flour dust explosion is no more than a flash fire in a contained area. So essentially what happens is when you get enough of this material in the air catches fire, and all the air around each of these particles expands. It will take the path of least resistance, which is why with these 4.5-foot thick walls, that material went up through those wood floors and right out the top of the building. Okay, so we're going to get this material Go in here with my trusty bicycle pump, and we're ready to go. I think we got all the elements in place we need. I do a little disclaimer at this point. About 1 out of every 4 or 5 times I do this demo, we have a dud. But I got a feeling it's going to work for us. Are you all ready? Here we go. Oh, yeah. Nice, Pop. All right, folks. Questions for me? Any questions? Yeah.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So what's different about today's mills that would
That's an excellent question. What's different about today's mills which might preclude such an event happening? Absolutely nothing. Flour mills are still going up on a regular basis, I'm sad to report. There were a couple of big blasts last year. One down in Kansas with loss of life. I think there was one in Indiana or someplace like that as well. A malting facility went up in Scotland. An aluminum dust explosion in China. Yeah, this is still a problem in mills today. And no matter how hard you might try to get all this material up, anytime you've got dust in an enclosed area, there is the potential for an explosion. Great question. Other questions? You have a question? Okay.
What did
Yes,
the workers do after the mill exploded? The ones that weren't killed.
Well, actually, they started the building process as quickly as they could get that going. It took about the same amount of time to rebuild this mill as it did to originally get it on the first mill that exploded online. About 2.5 years. In the interim, there were other facilities around here that were still operational. But as far as what happened to the actual workers, my assumption is that they probably had a little time off. But this is a supposition on my part. Bottom line, I'm really not sure. But it's an excellent question. But we can find out for you, I know that. Yeah, other questions? All right, folks, for those of you that are on the flower tower, the door's right over here. We've got a movie at 2 o'clock if you haven't seen that. Otherwise, we've got the gallery, the baking lab, plenty of stuff to do. Thanks for your kind attention, and enjoy the rest of your look around. My pleasure. Pleasure sharing that with you. You're welcome.